It's your man, Steve-O, the guru. Mama, onani yama na nana na drama yan drama na kana kujama na mama na mwana kuseni masana ni aiwe chani. Right about now, there's something hot happening in the city, in the country, known as My Zambian Dream. And I want you to hop on this. Basically, it's just a matter of entering and dialing *384*1#. When you dial that, you are in the game. It's only 10 kwacha. Guys, you can win yourself a car, you can win yourself a shopping voucher, you can win yourself a trip, a scholarship, a lot of prizes, kaunga, vonse and all that, even a phone. Forget about your landlord now. You can have a house on this one. You see? So guys, hop up on this. Make sure you dial *384*1#. Nilipa Mpundu.
Watch the entire video, my lovely viewers, to get the whole thing. Without wasting much of your time, let's get right into it.
This is DJ Mutati exclusive.
Hi lovely viewers, it's me again, your one and only Mutati Mpundu. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time on my channel, kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel by hitting the subscribe button down below. Turn the bell icon to join the notification squad. Don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment. Tell me what you think about this video in the comment section below. I'll be super glad to hear from you lovely viewers.
Good evening. Hey, you know, I've been scanning through social media and I am laughing at how the UPN or the PF propaganda can be so slow in understanding issues. You know, I mean, they are all excited with this Black Jesus. It's like Black Jesus infused new life in the case of Edgar Chagwalungu, you know, relating to the burial. They are excited. They are really excited. But I can tell you what that Black Jesus did. He was just trying to confuse the judges at this point in time. He was just trying to confuse the judges and yourselves, of course, as you know, the audience. He didn't bring any substantive issue that would back his appeal. He didn't. He just confused you. And he was trying to confuse the judges. But the judges, in their responses, they actually uncovered, you know, his ploy. They actually uncovered his ploy. But the PF propaganda, they are excited. They are going to town as if they have already won this case. I want to tell you that your Black Jesus never brought in any new issue or any substantive matter that would warrant this case to go to the Supreme Court. He was just being, you know, confusing, bringing in technicalities. One of these issues is this one. Let me play this video so that you know, you can understand that this guy was just actually confusing you. Let me play this video.
The law is very clear. Former President's Emolument Benefit, Former President's Benefit Act is there. He retires, automatically he gets his benefits. Then he decides to come back in politics. The law is clear again. When you decide to come back in politics, you lose your benefits. Are we together? Instantaneously, you don't even need to invoke any motivation. You lose your benefits. That's the law. As a lawyer, he knows the law is explicit, very clear. You come back to politics, you lose your benefits.
The Kaunda decision is a unique decision and distinguishable on the fact Kaunda died whilst the benefits were extant. Mr. Lungu died whilst the benefits had been removed. You cannot reinstate benefits on a corpse. The legal position is preserved as at the time of death. The legal position as at the time of death is that Mr. Lungu had lost his presidential benefits. So those could not be...
What about his right to be buried? Had he lost that? He had not yet passed on.
No, he lost the benefits that came with being a president of the country.
The protection, the office staff?
Yes, all of those.
But the right to be buried and every attendant benefit that flows from passing on as a former head of state?
No, he has a right to be buried, but...
You hear that? He clearly says he has the right to be buried. He himself says it. He was just saying, you know, the corpse has no right. But just there, he says he has the right to be buried.
Well, the corpse doesn't have any rights. The wife has a right to bury the deceased, but the wife has made that decision. The widow has made that decision. What you cannot have, and this is the oddity of the argument by the Zambian government, if the rights and benefits, because a corpse has no rights, so you cannot say a corpse has a right to be buried.
You see, there he is. He's confusing even himself. You know, just now he said, you know, he has a right to be buried. And now he's saying the corpse has no right to be buried. And come on, just even yourselves, are you telling me the corpse has no right to be buried? Eh? And this is why do we have laws on how corpse should be buried? Eh? If the corpses have no right, why don't we just throw them around if the corpse have got no right to be buried? Eh? I mean, he's just confusing you in there, just there. And look at how the judges are interjecting. They are interrupting him.
Corpse has no right. The corpse is not a legal thing. So if the benefits are removed, those benefits are removed on a living thing, on a living organ. Once life ends, the rights also end. So what they have now tried to do is a very artificial thing, which is to reinstate rights on a corpse.
No, those benefits would be for the wife, not on the corpse.
Precisely.
That's why they say under oath that those benefits would continue.
Those would be benefits. Yes, those would be benefits of the office that was held by Mr. Lungu. But at the moment, those would be benefits extended to the widow. Exactly. Justice Lidwaba, you're absolutely correct. Now, if it is a benefit, no one is compelled to accept the benefit. Compelled to accept the benefit. It imposes no obligations on her at all.
Yes, but did the Kwanda judgment say it's just because of the benefits?
No, it did say that it's because of the status of the former president.
And his status remains that of a former president.
Well, yes, the problem remains that the benefits attaching to that status were removed. And one of the benefits is getting your burial paid for by the state, which confers on the wife. And that is the critical problem. And the fundamental problem, though, with Kaunda is that it does not say that this is the law in Zambia. And it never engages with the rights of a widow when the widow says, this is what I want to do with the bones of my husband. It never engages with it.
First of all, this lawyer of yours is saying the corpse has no right. The question is, what rights? Because we have got different rights. What rights is this guy talking about? For example, people who are married, they have got conjugal rights to each other. That is the right. They have got conjugal rights to each other, people who are married. Children, they have got a right to be looked after by their parents. So we have different rights. And for the corpse, he's saying the corpse has no right. The corpse has rights in its own right. The corpse has rights in its own right. For example, if, when people die, when people die, they have got the right to be buried. They have got the right to be buried. That's why we have rules on burial. We have rules on burial. Why? It is not because of, it is not for the family. No, it is for the corpse to be buried. We don't just dispose of a corpse. We don't just throw them. I mean, chitumbi mwaposa. No, we don't. We don't. We bury, or we, in some cases, people are cremated. In other words, there are rules that govern how corpses must be disposed of. There are rules, and those rules, they are the right they give. They are the rights that the corpse has or have. Why do we have rules? Why do we have rules on how we dispose of bodies? Why? Why do we have rules? There are rules. There are rules on how bodies should be disposed of. And those are the rights of the corpses. Even in his argument, he actually said it. Where there is a will, you follow the will. Where there is no will, the heir, or the next of kin decides. Where the next of kin cannot decide, the children. Where the children cannot decide, the parents. Where the parents cannot decide, the state comes in. So there are rights. Rights. Otherwise, we would just be throwing them around. But because there are rules, and those rules gives the right to kufitumbi, he was just trying to confuse you. He was just trying to confuse you. And it is because of those rights that we are in court today. It is because of those rights that we are in court. It is because of those rights that Ichitumbi Chabalungu has that we are in court. And what are those rights that Ichitumbi Chabalungu has? Ichitumbi Chabalungu has those rights that he is a former president. And as a former president, there is a way that he has to be buried. The state has to bury him. It is there. This is what Hakainde Hichilema is talking about. Now you are even putting Hakainde Hichilema side by side with this guy. Hakainde Hichilema is solid on what he's talking about. He's very solid. We have got rules on how a former president should live. We have got rules on how a president should be buried after he's dead. And of course, those are the privileges. And those privileges, they are the rules. They are the rights that Walungu has. You can take it, you can flip it the other way. Maybe it might help you to understand. Imagine if the Lungu family were not rich. If the Lungu family were not rich, they are poor, and they want to repatriate the body from South Africa to bring it to Zambia, and they want help on how it should be buried. Are you telling me the Lungu family would have had no right to claim that, no, this is a former head of state, and therefore government must help to repatriate this body and bring it into Zambia? This is a former head of state, and therefore the government has the right to bury him. Wouldn't they be claiming that? Because we have instances where people have died and we are looking for help. Now imagine if that was the case with Edgar Lungu, whereby he has died and they don't have the resources. Wouldn't they have been right to claim, to say, no, Edgar Lungu was a former head of state? And even all of you will be even saying, he was a former head of state, but why is government refusing? Government should not refuse. It is there written in the Emolument Acts. It's there. Former head of state emolument, it's there. It's there. You should be buried. You should be buried. According to what the former head of state Emoluments Act says. You would be claiming that. No, so this time around, because you have got resources, you don't want government to help. Which is fine. Which is fine. Which is fine. Listen to me very well. If Edgar Lungu had no money, you would have been claiming the rights to say Edgar Lungu is a former head of state. You would have been saying that. And therefore government should help. You would have been saying that. Now, because Edgar Lungu, they have family, the family of Edgar Lungu, they have money. They say, we don't want it. Okay? We don't want it. So they have refused. And fine. Even in court it came up, we cannot impose. You can't impose. You can't impose people to accept benefits. You can't. But what comes in is the issue of public interest. Is the issue of public interest. Edgar Lungu, even in Muchitumbi Chakwe, that guy is saying he has no right. No, he has. He's a former head of state. And as a former head of state, we have got the right to claim him as a former head of state. Muchitumbi Chakwe. Muchitumbi Chakwe. If Itumbi fiancé, they are not the same. They are not the same. That guy is talking like, no, you know, all the corpses are the same. No, they are not the same. They are not the same. A former head of state is a former head of state. No poale that, chitumbi chaba lungwichi. Chala pusana ne chitumbi chakwa tayari. Chitumbi chakwa tayari. Fiapusana. The way you are going to treat them. From a human point of view and from the social setting or social status that we have. Fiapusana. And the civil status that we have. Fiapusana. So if fitumbi fiancé, yes, fitumbi na fifwa. But chitumbi chava lungu, chapusana. Chapusana ko chitumbi chava lungu is special. Chitumbi chava lungu is special. He's a former head of state. The status remains. And the judges were interjecting. They were telling him to say, hey, hello, you are talking about benefits. Benefits are for the family. Because he said, no, you cannot reinstall benefits on Ichitumbi. They say, but the benefits are for the family. And what is giving them the rights to claim for those benefits? Yes, they don't want them. But if they wanted, they would actually be arguing to say, we want those benefits. They would argue. They would argue. But in the same vein, if they can claim, I mean, we should also give them. In this instance, we are giving them. But what is giving them the right to have those benefits? It is because he's a former head of state. It's because he's a former head of state. Okay, now they don't want those benefits. They don't want those benefits. But we, the citizens, we want him as a former head of state. Muchitumbi Chakwe, we want him as a former head of state. The same way that Esther Lungu is claiming to say is my husband, Muchitumbi Chakwe, is the same way that we, the Zambian people, are claiming to say, we want him, Muchitumbi Chakwe. But Esther, you are claiming that lawyer and Makebi Zulu, what they are saying is that, no, Ichichitumbi, we are the ones who have got the rights. And we, the citizens, were saying, yes, he was your husband, he was your father, but he was also a former head of state. That is the issue there. That is the issue. That is the issue. That is where this is where the fight is. The fight is, there are those who are saying, he is my husband. I want to bury him according to the way I want. And we, the citizens, are saying, he is our former head of state. We want to bury him according to the former head of state. That is the issue. That is the issue. Not hey, you cannot whatever restore rights on a corpse. What nonsense is that? Which rights are you talking about? Barungu, it has got the rights. It has got rights. What rights? Where does it? What rights as a former head of state? Valungu, in his death, it has got rights. Rights as what? Rights as a former husband of Esther Lungu. And now we are clashing wherever Esther is saying, he's my former husband. Because if you are saying, no, it has got no rights, then Esther Lungu has got no claim. If you are saying there are no rights, then Esther Lungu has got no right. But she's saying, this is my husband. This is my husband. This is, is dead. He's no longer the husband. If you want to follow the argument of that lawyer, he's no longer a husband. So we can say he's a former husband. He's a former husband. And for that I've got rights. And we the citizens are saying, yeah, he's your former husband, but he was also our president. He was also our president. And we must bury him according to the way president should be buried. And now, this is what the court now is deciding. And the court in Zambia said the individual rights, meaning the individual rights of or the family rights, family rights, they are superseded by the public interest. That is the law. That is what was used by Kaunda. And it is a judgment which cannot be argued. It is there. And fortunately, because some of you are, even that lawyer was saying, no, in South Africa, you applied the Zambian law. You should apply the South African law. But there is a precedence even in South Africa. There is a judgment which ruled that no, the public interest is higher. There is even in South Africa. Settled. There is nothing to say. Hey, no, whatever. Hey, Mukari Finch. He was just trying to confuse you. There is nothing that he said. No, Ichitumbi has no right. Why do you claim insurance? Why do you claim insurance? Because when a person is alive, he starts contributing money. He insures himself. At the moment he dies, those rights, when you are not dead, you cannot claim insurance. You can't claim. Or your family cannot claim. Until you die. So the death itself gives the right for the insurance to be claimed. Whoever is going to claim it. So you can't say no, you can't institute benefits. Why do we put insurance, a person that has been insured, why do we, the moment he dies, why do we give money? It's the same Navalungu. As a former head of state, you can replace that head of state, replace it with insured, as a person who is insured. The moment a person is insured, the moment he dies, the claim kicks in. Same Balungu is a former head of state. The moment he dies, the issue of being buried by government kicks in. It's straightforward. Just like what Hakainde Hichilema in that video is saying. When you are a former head of state, you receive the benefits. The moment you are former head of state, you start receiving the benefits. The moment you come back into politics, your rights are, your benefits are removed. The moment you die, the issue of being buried by government kicks in. So what are you saying? We are not restoring benefits after AFWA. We are following things as they are happening. When he left government, benefits started coming in. The moment he came back into politics, benefits were stopped. He has died. The issue of being buried by government comes in. You don't want it? Fine. This is why we are arguing. We don't want it as a family. We don't want it. This is why we are arguing. This is why we are in court. And the precedence is there that the public has a higher interest than that of the wife or the children. This is where it is. And this is what the court ruled. And since they ruled like that, and your black Jesus was arguing Amaidele, you think they will allow you to go to the Supreme Court to go and give them more Amaidele? He didn't bring a new case, a new point that could convince the court to say they should go to the Supreme Court. He didn't. The court said, you had agreed to repatriate the body. You had agreed. And they are refusing to say, no, we didn't agree. Your black Jesus today failed to show that indeed that agreement was not valid. He was bringing in all these technicalities. Lesser Koiza, Magma Koiza. What nonsense? What nonsense? The issue is, was the agreement there? It was there. They had a press conference together. Makepi Zulu said a compromised agreement. That was an agreement. No, it should be according to the South African government. According to the South African constitution. What was wrong in that agreement that was made in South Africa? What was wrong according to the South African constitution? What did he bring? He brought nothing. He brought nothing. But you are all confused. You are getting excited. Mukalu. I mean, the guy was just making money. But deep down his heart, he knows that that judgment is solid. He knows that he doesn't need to go to the Supreme Court to overturn this. He can never overturn it. There is nothing constitutional. There is nothing that he brought that guy. There is nothing. He just confused you. Oh. Yeah.
This is DJ Mutati exclusive.
Alright, that's all for you today, lovely viewers. If you did enjoy the video, please don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section below. Tell me what you think about the video you just watched in the comment section below. I'll be super glad to hear from you, lovely viewers. Once again, I go by the name of Mutati Mpundu. I love you, peace, I gotta go.